Hello, this is Ruth from Ruth Teaches, and today I'm going to talk to you about the very first step in learning a new language, and that's pronunciation. Now, lots of people leave this step out at the beginning, or they think it's something they will look at later on, but this is very foolish, and I'm going to give you 5 reasons today that pronunciation is actually the very first step in learning a new language, and it's what you should really start with. First of all, you actually need to train your brain to hear the sounds of a new language before you even start. When they study language acquisition, or the picking up of a new language, linguists always turn to babies, those tiny masters of language learning. Tellingly, babies learn sounds first. Babbling, think goo goo gaga sounds, is actually babies practicing pronunciation, mimicking the prosody of the language they're being exposed to. For the first 6 months of our lives, we listen closely to the noises made by the adults around us, and our ears become increasingly receptive to the sounds of whatever language they are speaking. Unfortunately, this comes at the costs of whatever sounds that language doesn't contain. By that 6-month mark, our ears are kind of stuck in the language they were first exposed to, and it becomes difficult, if not impossible, to even hear new sounds. This is great for mastering our first language, but it complicates things when we want to learn a second or a third. fMRI experiments have shown that Japanese speakers' brains don't react when a repeated English R sound is suddenly substituted for an English L. Essentially, that their brain does not distinguish a difference between the two. This is because there is no such difference in the Japanese language that these speakers were brought up in. An English speaker's brain, on the other hand, lights up when a switch is made, revealing a sensitivity to the difference. Now, if one of those Japanese speakers wants to learn English then, she'll not only have to learn how to speak it, but also how to hear it. The human mouth is capable of making hundreds, if not thousands of sounds, but the average language only employs about 40. This means there is a very high probability that the language you want to learn uses some sounds which your native tongue does not. The number and difficulty of the sounds you'll have to learn will vary depending on what languages you speak and which one you're learning. There is hope though. With practice, we can retrain our ears and mouths to perceive and create new sounds. Check out my Minimal Pairs series for the fastest way to do this. My second reason is that good pronunciation will get you more language practice. So, a poor accent will often lead to native speakers switching to your first language rather than practicing your target one with you. They'll assume that you're less competent than you might well be, while a well-pronounced bonjour will prompt that French guy to answer you with exactly what you want: more French. Thirdly, good pronunciation will help you with your listening and your comprehension as well. If you've learned the language's sounds correctly from the beginning, you'll be able to make sense of it when it's spoken by native speakers. However, if you're learning the language with poor pronunciation, you'll never recognise it when it's spoken correctly. As the polyglot Gabriel Weiner writes in his wonderful book Fluent Forever, there's no reason to become fluent in a badly pronounced language because no one will speak it with you. Fourthly, studying pronunciation at the beginning will mean less work overall in your language learning. Failing to spend time learning to correctly pronounce the sounds of your target language and the patterns of their spelling and vocalization will mean that you end up having to learn 2 languages, your personal phonetic version and then later the real one. Imagine you're learning Spanish and you meet this word. An English speaker, perhaps, you look at it and you read perro and you memorize that. Later, you find out that it's actually pronounced perro. So you have to adjust that sound in your head and essentially relearn the whole word again. It's much better to save yourself some trouble and learn correct pronunciation from the outset. My 5th and final reason is that studying pronunciation will help you when you memorize new words. When you learn a new word, a neural pathway is formed, linking that symbol, the word, to its meaning in your head. And the more links you can carve into that neurological bridge, the better. For example, if you learn the written word with its meaning and also its pronunciation or sound, your neural connection will be all the stronger. and you'll be more likely to recall the word when you need it. Throw in other links, such as memory and images, and that link will be stronger still, but we'll cover that in another video. The point is that sound is essential for memory, and therefore language learning. I'm sure you've experienced this. When someone gives you a few numbers to remember, or you get a verification code to log into something, and your instinctive reaction is to mumble the numbers onto your breath, right? Or even just to say them out loud if you're on your own. Hearing the sequence just gives your brain something extra to hold on to, a sound. You can play exactly the same trick when learning new vocabulary. Study good pronunciation first, and make perfect articulation something you study with every new word from the outset. And you'll be giving yourself a huge advantage. So, whatever language you're planning to learn, do yourself a favour, please, and study pronunciation now. I've got lots of videos to help you do this on my channel, so do check them out. Subscribe for learning content and to keep up with all of the exciting things I've got coming soon. Have a lovely rest of your day and happy learning. Bye-bye.